Hi, this is Alex from phpacademy.org, and this is a second video for the new Boston on timestamps. Now, when we want to display a date, we can display the current date. We've already established how to do that. Now, what if I wanted to display a date that was, say, a couple of days ago or a week ahead, or in fact I wanted to read in a particular date and store it as a timestamp? Now, when you're storing data, for example dates in databases, it's always recommended you store as a timestamp, therefore making it available to process that date in many different ways possible. So at the moment you can see we've got the time we've grabbed from a timestamp, we've got the actual time which has been formatted. However, what if I want to just up here, let's just remove this as well, otherwise it won't make sense. What happens if just up here I want to change the date? I want to change the date to, say, a week ago. Okay, so today's date is April the 1st, 2011. So what I want to do is I want to change the time, and I want to say the time is equal to, in fact what we'll do is, we won't do that here. We'll establish the timestamp here, and then here what we'll do is we'll say we can either say plus or minus a certain amount of seconds. So what we can do is we can say minus 20. So time minus 20, that's 20 seconds before what we're looking at. So let's refresh this. Now at the moment this shows well, that's probably a bad idea. We'll say minus 60 for a minute. So let's refresh. So this says it reads 8:24 and 50 seconds. Now looking at my clock on my computer, it's actually 8:25. So now it's 8:26 on my computer, so we've gone back an hour. So now what we could probably do is say time now equals, we'll copy and paste that over to here, get rid of that, append a break onto that. In fact no, we won't, we'll time modified. So I'm just setting up my variables so they look a bit nicer. So now what we can do is echo a sentence here. So the time now is time now, a break onto there and say the time modified is, and space and time modified. So let's refresh this page and see what we get. So the time now is Friday, April 2011, and you can see this 26:55. However, this one's 25:55 because remember we minused 60 seconds. However, there's a really useful function in PHP, and that is called str2time. And what this allows you to do is take a string data for time, so we could say plus 1 week, and that would return a timestamp with a week's worth of seconds added onto it. So we can test this in here. We could say plus, and then we could say str2time. Remember, this is string data. We're converting a string to a timestamp. We can create, say, plus 1 week. Now if we refresh this, the time now will show, or we're looking at the date in this case, Friday, April. We've added a week on, so we are looking at Thursday 1916. Hold on, plus oh, hold on, no, 1 week, there we go. So refresh. Right, so this might just be my, okay, there, plus 1 week. And what that should do is, no. In actual fact, looking at this logically, okay, right, okay, so what I've done is, I'm returning the timestamp and adding on something we don't need to. So if I was to say str2time, this is already including the timestamp, and then we're adding a week on. So let's just try this again and refresh. Okay, so now you can see that it's gone from Friday to Friday. However, if we were to say minus 1 week, this is probably a better example because now we're going to go back into March. We've changed this now to March, so let's just put this as a D and refresh. So 1st of April, and let's put this as a D, small d, lowercase d, and let's refresh. Okay, perfect. So now we've got a textual a numerical representation of the day. So 1st of April 2011, we've gone back a week, which is the 25th of March. So now what happens if we say plus 1 year? We're obviously going to take ourselves into 2012. So we've got 1st of April 2011 plus, and then the modified is 1st of April 2012. But what we can also do is we can do things like combinations. So what we can do is we can say plus 1 week, 2 hours, 30 seconds. Okay, so what we're now doing is we're adding a week, 2 hours and 30 seconds. So let's just refresh. We'll check the first date. It's 1st of April and it's 2031. So we now ended up with the 8th of April, which is a week later, with 22, and you can see that we've done 2 hours and the 30 seconds is been added on. So we've got 35 here and we've got 5 here, so we're going into the next minute. So this is a really great way to modify your times depending on your needs. Obviously these functions can be used alone. You can use them to feed in a timestamp. So we could say time minus, and we could say 30 seconds. So let's refresh. Oh, we've gone back to this again. So I think it appears that we're not going to use this because of the nature of how the function works. However, we can obviously use this alone. We can use the str time and then say a week. However, if we wanted to go back, let's say for example 30 seconds, 30 minutes, let's just say well, we'll enclose this in brackets first, and then we can say 2 hours, or and we'll just say like 7 days, for example. So 7 days, 2 hours, 30 seconds and 30 minutes. So what we're doing is we're multiplying everything together to create the seconds. Now let's refresh the page and we can see that what we're doing is we're taking this back 7 days. So we've got 1st of April. Let's just try changing this to 24 hours, see what result we come up with. Let's refresh. Okay, so it's taken us back 24 hours. 24 hours, let's just double check that. 24 hours, then another 2 hours. That's back to the 31st of March. So yeah, 24 hours we've been taken back. I'm not sure why this 7 days isn't working, but anyway, it's just something to research and have a look at. It's very hard to explain every single point of timestamps because there's so many functions within PHP that deal with the time. So be sure to have a little research around, have a look around. The PHP.net manual is full of information about this, and you can view live examples. But this is generally how we would use timestamps and how useful they can actually be.